Hello, folks. It's Secret Door Gaming. I'm playing a different kind of game called Romancing Flesh. It kind of intrigued me because it's based on a 1940s kind of science fiction fantasy visual novel, and it has plants in it, but the plants are a little on the fleshy kind, as you can see. Kind of grotesque, and it's got horror elements to it, but the story I heard is very, very well written, and I just really want to give this game a go. The warden wants to see you. Follow me. Delisilo Correctional Institute, 1946. He's all yours, sir. You're relieved, Jeremiah. Best to get home to the missus. Thank you, sir. I've transformed Delisilo Correctional Institute from a dingy county jail to one of the top facilities in the country. Did you know that? I didn't do that just by imprisoning small-time crooks, murderers, and thieves. No, sir. Over the years, I have created a very specific type of prisoner. Deviants. They're not like you or me. Sickos, perverts, communists, whatever you want to call them, because they can't be really rehabilitated because they're barely human to begin with. And the strangest part is, you think every part of their brain is broken, but they can still feel shame. A father of 3 will try to shoot you dead if you accuse him of putting on dresses and having sex with bellboys. A well-to-do woman would stick her head in the oven before she'd admit to a dalliance with the colored boy down the road. And hell, even my own mother was a goddamn suffragette, but me or Dad would have beat the snot out of her if we found that out before she croaked on us. It's a difficult thing to get confessions from these freaks. Now, normally, when a district attorney needs a bit more time to build a case against one of these deviants, they'll rush him through the courts on some trumped-up charge, keep them in prison for a while, and hopefully buy enough time to build a case. But if they can't, the Delisilo Correctional Institute will get a confession from them. We've read the works of Fraud, Morano, and Watson. Ugh, awful fellows. Reproduced the experiments of Pavlo and Skinner, and consulted with Wertham, Miller, and Jung. And we've distilled them all into an effective methodology that loosens the prisoner's tongue while leaving them free of the physical cuts and bruises that don't play well to judges and juries. Real humane-like. But listen to me ramble on. The reason I brought you in here is because your cellmate, a Mr. Charles Keaton, is one of those deviants. We've tried our best to build a psychological profile on him, find a proper plan of attack, but Mr. Keating managed to run out the clock on us. Mr. Keating will have served his sentence as of midnight tonight. Unless we get a confession in the next few hours. I want you to read these documents from the U.S. Attorney's Office. If you believe anything in these documents can be used to get a confession out of Mr. Keating, we need to know. In return, if you merely read these documents, even if you don't find anything, we'll consider your sentence served. I know it sounds too good to be true. Anything you can tell us might be the key to keeping this monster behind bars. He doesn't fit into the world. He belongs with me. Oh, look at this. Some burnt up. Looks like diagrams of like plants, botany, or cell structures actually. It's like a farm in the woods almost. The greenhouse. Old van. What's this letter? Dearest Mother, the bus trip is a bit longer and more uncomfortable than I was expecting, but I should be in Alabama within a few days. I've called Dr. Petro's office, and he assures me his facility is a few hours outside of Fayette, so I'm not as far from civilization as I feared. I may have to forego the nightly edition of the paper, but we all must make deep sacrifices in times of war. Please remind Father that Dr. Petro's work is being funded by the U.S. Army, and though I won't exactly be one of the tough SOBs marching into Hirohito's palace, I'll be an active contributor to the war effort. Besides, I hear if I were a service member, the letters I send you would look like Swiss cheese, and we don't want to X-rate your lactose intolerance. He's trying to be funny there. I hope this letter finds you in better spirits than when I left, and in worse spirits than when I'm there. Oh. Your loving son, Charles. He's not very liked at home. Recording dated February the 12th, 1842. Hello? Dr. Pedro! I'm sorry for the call. The bus trip is taking a bit longer than I was expecting, but I should be there in just a couple more days. That's fine. I'm still setting up the lab, and most of my supply shipments will be arriving late as well. You should be in town just in time to help me get everything up and running. Look at that animation. Look at his face. It's so real. Phew. Look at his eyes. So kind of creepy. His mouth. Good. Is there anything I should brush up on before I get to the lab? I managed to grab a decent selection of medical journals while I was in Boston. Plant cellular structure. What? The nature of the work we'll be doing is a bit cross-disciplinary. I trust your medical knowledge is up to date, but I need to make sure you've brushed up on some of the basics of botany. I suppose I could visit a bookstore while we're at a stop. A newsstand should have some periodicals. No need for the latest journals, Mr. Keating. You don't need to know the latest scientific learnings, but you should be able to write and illustrate a grade school textbook on basic plant biology with your eyes closed before you get here. I'll make sure to study hard on the trip over. Good lad. And if you could bring a tin of real coffee, I'd appreciate it. We're down to the stuff cut with chicory down here. I'll try my best, sir. See you in a few days. Click. Oh, I forgot to ask if it was all right for me to record the call. Tape shut off. Science is a poor pursuit for young men. He's one of those. Too much infatuation with the new and novel, with no room to appreciate the refuge of tradition. Quite frankly, Mr. Keating should have seen what was coming next. Ooh, look at that. Flesh flower that wants to, eat you. Oh, that's terrifying. Oh, that's so hideous. Grotesque. It's like a Venus, or more like a vampire plant. Yeah, I'm gonna bite you and suck your blood. Oh, look at his fingers. The imagination of the creator is pretty wild, though. You can't even think up this stuff. It's like nightmare inducing. What's this? Oh, that looks like cells under a microscope, possibly. Let's read the letter first. Dear Aunt Sonia, Happy birthday! I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person this year, but I hope my package arrived in time for the party. Work has been busier than expected. I'm sorry if my last few letters gave the impression that I can be frank about the work I'm doing, but now that the lab is fully operational and the experiments have started in earnest, I realize some self-censorship on my own part will be required. In the vaguest terms possible, my work involves supplementing the Army's diet with quick and cheap meat. Ugh. Don't tell me he's creating that for them to eat. Ooh. Gross. But Dr. Pedro has some lofty goals for where the research could lead. I'm sorry to say your sister's son attended college to become a glorified sausage maker, but it's not the worst place war could have taken me. That being said, Dr. Petrov is very passionate about the work we're doing. It's miles different from the lab work at Tufts College. There's a half-dozen experiments in different stages of development, and every day I'm learning something new. It's frantic and fast-paced, but energizing. It'll be a while before we're manufacturing canned meats, but I could probably trade you some jerky for your homemade fudge by next Christmas. Your loving nephew, Charles. He sounds like a really sweet guy, but his family doesn't seem to treat him very well. Is this something? Oh my god, that's gross. Looking. March 8th, 1942. This is subject 42F5, and it's time for her meal. Don't tell me what this thing is gonna eat. Ooh! I'm sorry, it skipped over that part of text. Sorry. It seems to be able to sense when the fly is near, but further experimentation will be needed to determine how. Oh god, that's gross. Look at it. It's trying to like, give me food, give me food. The fly is like, no, no. Yum, 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 yum. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Notice here she swallows the fly whole, crushing it inside of its stomach. Once it starts growing teeth in a few days, in a few days she'll switch to chewing, as it conserves a bit more energy. Ooh. And you're gonna feed this to your troops? It's like part human. You can't, that's like cannibalism. Ooh, gross. Wow. Recording dated March 3rd, 1942. Like, I can't stop reading. I'm horrified, but I'm also fascinated. It's the science in me. There, we're recording now. I don't want to be recorded. Now what the hell did you get me involved with, Dr. Petrov? Ooh, he's mad. It's a flower, Charles. It has teeth. Yes, the teeth were unexpected, but look how evenly they grew in. The dentistry isn't the issue, Dr. Petrov. What you're doing is unethical. How exactly is it unethical? You ripped apart a living, breathing thing to make. Mr. Keating, this isn't a butcher's shop. I'm not hacking and stitching animals together like cheap circus attractions. I grew this flower from a blastocyte. I fertilized the egg by needle injection in my lab. What do you mean, grew? Before it reaches the embryonic stage, you can count the number of cells inside a blastocyte by hand. If you have an expensive microscope, a small needle, and lots of time, you can even identify what each of those individual cells would grow and divide into. So I take those individual cells, and instead of letting it grow into a monkey, I manually remove what I don't want it to grow and rearrange what I do want it to grow. Well, that's brilliant. But why turn it into that? You read those botany books like I told you to, yes? Yes. Very simple structures, aren't they? Most of the plant is made of the same type of cell. No complicated organ systems, no skeletal structure, no need for a centralized brain. If I took these pre-embryonic masses of cells, and just rearrange them willy-nilly, I'd create thousands of malformed failures before I stumbled on a useful form. So instead, I used plant structures as a basis to rearrange the cells, and the results have been astonishing. Just a few rows of my pseudo-plant cell design, and not only maintains the structure, but continues growing it naturally, like the animal cells can remember their plant roots. Pardon the pun, of course. But you're missing the point. You're not growing a new life. You're forcing something to suffer from its own birth. They don't suffer, Charles. I've been analyzing their brain patterns. They use so little energy to grow, their brains default to a dream state, a calm, peaceful sleep. And then we'll be killing them for their meat? Ooh. Yes, but someday I'll design them to grow as large as trees, shedding meat like apples off their branches, living for hundreds of years. A forest of these trees will negate the need to raise animals for slaughter, ending a 10,000-year genocide of innocent creatures. Oh, he must be like vegan or vegetarian. I already bought a plot of land a bit further north for when I'm ready to grow them. He's actually brilliant. I thought it would take decades for me to make something like this, but then I found you. I read your paper on a typical embryonal development, and it felt like a practical extension of my own work on the teratology of plants and animals. That paper was on birth defects, Pedro. I can't do that to animals on purpose. What's evolution, if not a series of beneficial birth defects? What would take 1,000 generations and dead ends to spontaneously develop, we could grow overnight. While other scientists are trying to fix the problems nature gave us, we'll design a sustainable future for the planet. Well, it should be a future without biting flowers, at least. But maybe you could isolate the stomach and rearrange the structure like a Venus flytrap. A Venus flytrap. See, I'm glad I recorded that because I am out of pen ink. Tape shut off. You shouldn't have recorded these. Now, men like you or I, we would know better. When the witch in the woods welcomes you into her gingerbread house, you don't accept the invitation. You throw her in the fire. Oh God, look at this thing. Oh, that's horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. Would you want to eat that for meat? No. Look at that. Oh, that's scary. That's really cool though at the same time that... Oh, let's put you over here, little buddy. Oh, look, you got a friend. Let's put them together. Look, he's got little hands. Here. Mommy, I want to hug you. Mommy. Mommy, I'm your flower. Let me grow. Ugh, flesh flower. He's got little fingers. Oh, and toes. Oh, that's gross. Oh, look, here's another one. This one's not as terrifying as the other ones. Maybe that's more the advanced stage. Let's put you with your buddies. Let's read the letter. I always like to read the letter. Dear cousin Delilah, I've been paying extra to get the hometown papers shipped down here in Alabama, and I read that you won a blue ribbon for your peanut butter fudge at the county fair last month. You must be absolutely over the moon. What's with all this fudge? Is family like so into fudge? I can relate to a lesser extent, as I've told you in my last correspondence. I'm finally getting the hang of the work which must be secret, and I managed to make a breakthrough of my own. Essentially, for the past year I've been trying to perfect Dr. Petro's recipes. He'll make some new sort of confectionery, and when he feels like I'm ready, I'll go through the hard work of perfecting it. A little less flour here, a little more baking powder there, trying to get the ratios just right, except they're not using flour. But I've finally made a recipe of my own. I hope someday I can share it with you and the rest of the family. Ooh, yum yum. Make you a flesh flower too, and make you as proud as you all make me, especially the ribbon winners among you. With love, Charles. Well, you're a lot more brilliant than that, Charles. Than Fudge. P.S. Take heed, your mother won't stay the number 2 baker in the family for long, and she'll make everyone in the family fat with Fudge until she's reclaimed her crown. He sounds like a really good guy. And he's trying so hard to please his family. Recording dated August 24th, 1942. Okay, it's on. Say that again, Charles. Chimera? Ah, yes! But the whole thing you drunk, the entire thing you said, the whole thing again. Okay. The plant animals we've been growing tend to be fairly small for a lot of reasons. Oh, they're sharing a drink. We've only grown them from a single rearranged blastocytes. We've only allowed them a few weeks to reach maturity. The plants can't grow faster than the animals' parts it came from would. Yes, but get to the important part. Okay, so our experiments with grafting have been failures. Grafting. But instead of trying to graft during adulthood, we can simply make our pre-embryonic blueprints bigger by using more blastocytes. And this wouldn't result in rejection because we have well-documented cases of siblings ingesting other smaller embryos in the womb. I didn't know that. Ew. Resulting in the embryo containing cells from both siblings, chimeras. We will merely start that stage in the process even earlier and assemble larger plants. Now, that implies we can only use genetic siblings to build these plants. I assume we can't use other animals too, genetically unsimilar? We could certainly experiment and find out. Oh no, don't do that. I'd certainly like to see a rabbit, pigeon, dandelion or something. You blow on it and a bunch of seeds will fly out on rabbit earwigs. You see, inspiration can strike at any time, Charles. We could have forgotten all about this in the morning. Yes, when you're sober and sane. Oh wait, you aren't sane. Yes, fine. I can see the merits of your little recording device there. Oh, another idea. What if you made plant animals that interconnected with each other, like pieces of a puzzle piece? You could have one plant specifically designed to collect and refine nutrients which can feed a second plant that can just focus on growing bigger. That's a strange place to need a mouth, Charles. Wherever you like to put your mouth is fine to me, Dr. Petrov. Ew. Oh, what was that? His eyes. Oh, yes, it was just a little joke. Let's call it a night. Oh. You aren't recording this by any chance, are you? Oh, he was. Tape shut off. Bad idea. If they stopped there, we might be hailing them as gastronomic pioneers. Heck, I might have eaten a ribeye salad for dinner tonight. But I think they wanted more than food. Oh God, no, oh no, oh no, they're feeding children with their plant meat. Ooh, yuck. Look at the kid is like, this is the tastiest chicken I've ever eaten. It's not chicken, kid. I grew it from a plant and an animal. used to have like teeth and eyes and little fingers for like petals. Oh my goodness, no. Oh, that's just grotesque. Oh, oh, thank God I ate dinner already. Look, it's got a little mouth with little teeth. Ew, and it's like, poor little rabbit. These guys are going too far. They're like trying to play God. That was the main picture. That one is just as horrifying. Little shop of horrors. Kind of horrifying. What is this? Oh my goodness, now they're making underwater ones. Like, look at a little squid. That's just not natural, folks. Dear great Uncle Anthony. Look, he's like writing his whole family. It seems like he keeps writing everybody because like maybe nobody's answering him. It's kind of sad. I tried recreating your famous dry rub mix. Some of the ingredients were hard to come by, rationing and all that, but I think we managed to get a close approximation. We threw a little backyard barbecue. Ew. For the neighborhood to taste test our first production batch of meat, and it was a resounding success. What? Like you fed the children, like that thing could like maybe, like you don't know the side effects, like of eating that? You don't know if it'll grow into their stomachs or, you don't know any of that. Ooh, these poor kids. This whole experiment has given me a newfound appreciation for the time I spent on your farm when I was younger. Dr. Petroff nearly fainted during the butchering process, leaving me to do it all on my own. He reminded me of the time you put Clarabella chicken on my dinner plate. Please write back when you have the chance. I'm dying to hear the rest of the family is doing. Your city slicker grandnephew Charles. Aw, nobody's writing him back. That's very sad. Poor guy. Recording dated November the 20th, 1942. Audio log 10:30:42. We may have hit a snag with the rabbit experiment. Off screen. Are you recording a log on the rabbit experiment? It's just a lover's spat, Sergio. They'll be back together in no time. The rabbit's new leg bit it, Charles. I warned you this might happen if we didn't engineer both of the animals together that way. Ulna was a little confused, that's all. Let Jack settle down for a couple days, and I'm sure he'll take Ulna back. Oh, look at they named the rabbit Jack and the plant Ulna, or the flesh plant. After seeing how quickly Jack took to his new leg, I was more than happy to let this whole thing keep going. But is this necessarily the best thing for both of them? Ulna can move around on their own, and so can Jack. Oh my god, they can move. Oh, flesh plants that can move. They're not wholly dependent on one another. Maybe we could just let them stay friends? Just stay friends? We should really be focusing on our real work. I wonder if they're kind of talking about themselves, kind of like metaphorically. I think they are actually talking about themselves. He wants to like focus on the work, and the other younger guy's like, but I want our relationship. We should really be focusing on our real work. Plus, this is starting to veer off both of our areas of expertise. Let's just call the experiment off for now. You want to call it off, Sergia? Look at his eyes. Well, maybe I should take your advice and engineer a new symbiotic for Ulna then. A new partner might solve Ulna's problems. Well, we don't know what sort of effect that'll have on Jack, mentally speaking. Again, Charles, This is all very new to me. Everything we've been doing here has been new to me. Some new experimental organism, a novel discovery, some unexpected result. And it is exciting, don't get me wrong. But it's nice to have something, someone reliable in all that chaos, who is also a little exciting himself. And I'm glad that person has been you. He's like, oh, maybe we can keep the Jack and Ulna experiment going. They're talking about each other. We can pick up the discussion in the morning if you prefer. Tape shut off. Everything you've read so far is what I've had to scrape and scrounge to get from government files. So you've already read all the juicy stuff. The rest of this is the boys in blue mopping up. Oh, look at that. The government found out. Or somebody told them. Oh my goodness, they created trees with mouths, with fangs. He's like, fire, burn it, burn it! Oh my goodness, goodness, fangs. Poor thing, though. It's kind of, you feel kind of sad for it, actually. It just wanted to live and grow and eat people. And he's like, die, monster, die, burn. Incident report narrative. On the above date, P.O. Daniels responded to a call about an escaped animal. Upon finding the loose cow, P.O. Daniels saw its mouth was covered in blood. Upon closer inspection, the grass the cow was eating was some kind of malformed rat stuck in the ground. Oh, it was eating the plant flesh. Ew. And it was bleeding. After calling for backup, officers discovered a sizable acreage of buried, deformed animals. Oh, those were the experiments. Mr. Keating became agitated, and in response, officers were forced to put him into submission. Mr. Petrov was taken into custody for questioning. For health and safety reasons, it was decided to humanely dispatch the animals before bringing Mr. Petrov and Mr. Fielding into custody. Memo from the office of Reed acted. As my JAG officer has previously claimed on my behalf, Dr. Sergio Petrov was awarded a government contract from General look, they're like crossing him off so they have no part of this whole thing. They don't get in trouble. That's pretty evil. Who died at ... during ... resulting in a transition period in which most of Petrov's work of an already secretive nature was done with little to no oversight until my office was made aware of it. Unfortunately, my upcoming absolvement may result in many more officers lower along the chain of command being found at fault. Officers you do not want to bring to court during these desperate times. Considering the improbability of systemic failure within the U.S. Armed Forces, I suggest we propose the possibility that foreign agents were involved. Under the specific circumstances, Petrov was working as a contractor. A treason charge would take him outside of U.S. military jurisdiction and tried as a civilian. Oh, horrible. You're welcome. Some evil general. To Reed acted. Mr. Keating and I are currently in Fayette County Jail. I believe the police have set fire to most of our work. I tried to save as much of our work as possible. This is Dr. Petrov. But please send copies of all the records I've sent so far to your offices. And if you have any internal copies of your correspondence, please send those as well. We've made remarkable progress in the last few months, and I believe if we act quickly, we can still reach our first production deadline. Thank you, Dr. Sergio Petrov. We live in a delicate world, in a fragile time. This is not an era for radical new ideas. We just fought a long and hard war to reestablish the grand order of the world, for heaven's sake. And on American soil, A couple of dandy bookworms were playing God and feeding diseased meat to our children. I couldn't stand it. And so I took a leaf from Mr. Pedro's playbook. I psychologically tore Mr. Keating apart and reformed and re-educated him as I saw fit. Into you. D362. That's Mr. Keating. Oh, he looks so damaged. Poor guy. He looks terrible. In the dissociated state you're in, Mr. Keating, it gives you a sense of clarity, doesn't it? Oh, he tortured him. You can see what I see. Why didn't your family ever write you back? Why did your lover try to rescue his work instead of you? If you leave this prison tonight, where can you go? You know the answers. You know why you need to sign this confession. You know why you're here, why you need to stay behind bars. You left home and traveled across the country, hoping you'd change into the sort of person your family would miss. Oh. But instead of doing something to make them proud, you decided to pursue what made you happy. And you became a sick character of everything your parents hated about you in the first place. A mama's boy sticking his meat in the dirt, hoping it'd grow. Ugh, he's terrible. Sign the confession. If you leave this prison now, you'll undo all the work I've done for you. You'll fall back into bad habits and become the same person you were 3 years ago. And none of us want that, would you? No. I don't want to change back, Warden. Oh, God. I've made so much progress. It was hard, fabricating the equipment necessary to continue Dr. Pedro's work. But you wouldn't believe how fruitful my experiments have become. And quite frankly, I like the persons I've become. Oh, look at his face. Oh, oh God, goodness. Is he tearing him apart right now? He's like flying away in pieces. It took me months to find you. You didn't answer when I called your name. Oh, Dr. Petrov, what have you done to yourself? You became what you wanted. From a distance, I almost couldn't recognize you. But I found you. I hope you're dreaming of me, drinking from the brook, eating the fruit from your branches, huddling from rain and sleet in your safe embrace. And someday, in a brief moment of lucidity, maybe you'll read this message and know I'm gone. You wanted us to change the world, and we did. Starting with ourselves. Oh, look at that. Dr. Petrov has become a flesh tree. The world wouldn't have them, so they became part of the world themselves, part of nature. They wouldn't be accepted, but now they are. I'll always remember you fondly. Love, Charles. Wow. Fini. Well, folks, that was quite a game. Whew. I hope you, yeah, it's quite a fascinating game, quite interesting, but also kind of very tragic. Very, very tragic in many ways. Made me kind of sad at the end, actually. But I've put the download link below if you want to give it a try, the game, download it for yourself. It was incredibly fascinating and interesting. The creator put so much research into this game and love, and just, yeah, it's very intelligently written and quite a story. So if you enjoyed this, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel at Secret Dark Gaming, and hope to see you soon. Bye.